I walk every day, no shame at all. I walk every day, I use my feet, I use my thighs, I use all my body parts every day. Why is that? Well, this has a lot to do with house system correlations in health. And many astrologers have already touched up on this, and there's plenty of information out there about it. But basic rundown of if we want to go into my own personal self, I'll go and put myself on the cross like I always do. So I have Saturn in the first house. So with Saturn in the first house, I have to, structure my personality if we're talking about, the energetic level of what the first house represents, which is, the personality and personal issues. And, that's gaining structure in that life and everything. And that's gaining structure and having stability. And if you don't give that Saturn that energy that it needs, if you have Saturn in the first house or any other house that has that energy, basically, it's like build or destroy. That's going back to like the 5% nation doctrine. Shout out to the gods and earths. And basically that kind of correlates to Saturn energy, build or destroy, because it's foundation. And the number 8 in some spiritual correlations links to the planet Saturn actually. So with that being said, the first house, or Saturn being in the first house, on a physical level, that's the head. So that's like having a strong mental. So it's like I have to have a structured, stable mental. Like everything up here, I have to have a good brain. I have to have a good head on my shoulders at all times. That's kind of why, and that kind of goes, I'll go into that, but I have 8th house in Scorpio, so it's kind of like that energy right there kind of gives it like I'm able to have like a strong head. I'm able to have a good mindset when dealing through 8th house Scorpio situations. It can be a lot though, to be honest with you. So then we also have the South Node in Taurus. I mean, not the South Node in Taurus. Well, I do have South Node in Taurus, but South Node in the 2nd house. So if South Node in the 2nd house, that's the throat area. That's the voice box. That's you'll be able to, speak your mind, basically. The correlation with the 1st and the 2nd house being right next to each other. So basically, on that sense, it's basically a situation to where the South Node is basically where you came from, and you're doing your South Node like Uriel says many times. So with me having the South Node in the 2nd house, basically this turns into a situation where, your value system and, speaking your values, right? That's like it's like I'm kind of already a person to where like I already kind of talk too much, like talk about my values and everything like that, or like try to have a loud voice, because I do have like apparently according to other people, I do have a loud booming voice. So I guess that South Node, I kind of come from a heavy energetic signature, because it's related to the 2nd house, which is Earth, and it's like the stable, like fixed, like these trees, that aspect of Earth, which is Taurus, the founded Earth on the ground, basically. But basically this goes back to the walking situation. I'm not going to go through my whole astrological scenario, basically, or my whole astrological snapshot, but basically it's a situation where, okay, walking a lot. I have the sun in the 12th house, which is the feet, and I actually have Jupiter in the 9th house, which is the thighs. So it's like that correlation to where you're able to move your thighs and walk and go the distance. That's the correlation that the 9th and the 12th house and Jupiter have in common. So me having those two energies right there, and then also having a slight 4th house, not 4th house, but 11th house stellium, having Uranus, Neptune in the 11th house, as well as having a cusp of the 12th and 11th house with Mercury, and a cusp of the 11th and 10th house when it comes to Venus. Finally found a place to sit. So essentially this basically turns into a situation where me actually being able to have the sun in the 12th house and have Jupiter in the 9th house, my actions always correlate to me using my feet. Nasty ass feet. Just clowning on myself. That's funny. That's an Aquarian aspect, to be honest with you. Being able to clown on yourself and everything. That's a whole nother video and everything. But basically it turns into a situation where my actions are always corresponding to the aspect of being able to, go places, and that with Jupiter being in the 9th house, that's like the added feel, that's like the drive, that's like the actual like driver's seat, like driver in the cockpit, basically, the pilot man, Dolo the pilot man, flight boss, bitch. That, and he has a Sagittarius moon, so it's like literally like the same kind of correlation that it's able to make and everything. So it's like that's able to be the driving force to be able to, you know, go and, like, you see me, I'm walking, I'm like going to all these different places and everything like that. I'm like behind a YMCA basically right there here. This tree. And see, that's another thing about like Piscean. I mean, this is more so related to Cancerian energy, but it's like water energy in general just has the ability to like tap you into nostalgic elements because it deals with water, which is memory. So basically this tree, back whenever I wasn't conscious about any kind of astrology, no metaphysics, anything like that, basically when all I was focused on was, you know, getting high, which, I mean, this is just like oils and everything like that. But it's basically a situation to where it's just the fact that I have the sun in the 12th house, and I'm talking about the sun in the 12th house basically. It's basically a situation to where I walked to a nostalgic area, which I wasn't even thinking about it this whole time I was walking to this area when I was thinking about this video. So basically it's like these energies, these different energies that you have and the way you correlate with them. And you know, I have a hard time talking about metaphysics sometimes because, you know, that's the sun, that's the Mercury in the 12th house, which is, you know, it's crazy because I have Sun in the 12th house and Mercury in the 12th house, but it's cusp in the 11th house as well. So as I have like access with Mercury to both of those energy signatures. But it turns into a situation where the sun in the 12th house and Mercury in the 12th house working together, I'm able to take action on to, you know, talking about metaphysics, but at the same time it can be, it's like being able to be brave enough to actually talk about it, but still, even if you don't have the words to, you know, actually speak upon it, you still have the confidence with the sun to actually speak upon it as well, regardless if it makes sense or not. See, that's kind of like the situation I am. I could really care less if anyone looks at this and be like, you don't know what the fuck you talking about, you white boy and everything, or whatever derogatory, you know, threats are thrown. I don't want to say threats, they're not threats really, but derogatory, like stones are being, like casting stones on people and everything like that. I don't really have time for that. I'm here to just, you know, express my testimony and how I, you know, see these energies and how they play out. But that's basically what it's like. You know, you have to look into your own chart and your own natal, you know, and correlate, you know. For a rundown, for if anyone is unsure about like the health and astrology system, the first house is the head, the second house, put this down real quick, the second house is the throat. Okay, first house is the head, second house is the throat, third house is the shoulder blades, arms, the lungs, the fourth house is the heart, the fifth house is the stomach, the nervous system is the sixth house, every bending area, your fingers, you know, your hips, able to bend, even able to bend your neck. That's the correlation that the seventh and the first house actually have in common is, well, the seventh house, the ability to bend. But it's also mostly correlated to this, you know, bending the other half of your body, which is like the other half of the zodiac sign. And then your penis or your vagina, your cock or your pussy, was the eighth house basically. So it's basically you know, nobody sees that, and, you know, nobody sees what's going on behind closed doors with the eighth house. Ninth house is the thighs, your ability to actually be able to really move your legs and be able to travel to the areas you need to go. The 10th house, your kneecaps, being able to, you know, bend to a certain foundation and still be able to rise up and build on that foundation and be able to go up. The 11th house, which is, you know, your associations, which is not the calves. Well, it can be the calves, but the ankles, to be honest with you. So that's the uniqueness and the originality, you know, the ankles, you know, but it's also, if you think about it, since the 11th house in Aquarius energy is, you know, like fixed air and it's like a detached energy, it's like if you're walking, it's like you're traveling, you're using your thighs to travel to certain areas, and then if you know, switch around, use your ankles, you know, make a quick turn and everything like that, use your ankles as a quick turn to, you know, go to a different association. And last but not least, Pisces, the 12th house. So, you know, this is your feet, and this is basically, you know, this is your dreams, illusions, and your creativity and everything like that. And, you know, your feet basically taps you into, you know, because it's the last. To be honest with you, I still need to do I'm not going to even lie, I still need to, as far as my correlations with the 12th house and the feet with Pisces, maybe it has more so to do with your feet can touch water more so. I don't know. To be honest with you, that's kind of where I get stuck at, to be honest with you. I'm going to have to do more research, and that's me and filming on camera, being completely 1,000% honest with you. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this video down, And that's another 12th house thing, though, not being able to, as I have the sun and Mercury in the 12th house, and it's like I'm not able to even really use a good metaphor for it. That's kind of crazy, to be honest with you. Maybe it's more of a correlation as you use your feet. Yeah, you use your hips to move, but it's like your feet get tired after a while. And if you're able to, you know, keep moving, as regardless of how tired your feet get and everything, you can reach your dreams. Maybe that's a correlation, but that's a whole build in and of itself. I'll talk to y'all later, though.